Jesse, before we go into the other fights on the card and other topics, you're picking Pacquiao by decision or by knockout?
That's a tough one, let me tell you. I think I'd like to think that he can win by knockout, but I don't discard the possibility that he's going to go the distance with Bradley. Bradley's a tough guy. He's a brawler. It's going to be a hard fight unless Pacquiao is really in shape and focused on this fight. Something I haven't seen from Pacquiao in a couple of years. So I don't know.
We'll see how focused he is. After his last fight, David, there was talk that he was going to go to a chapel to renew his vows with his wife. The rumor is that his wife told him that she would not renew the vows because he was cheating.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's a born-again Christian. Any relation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, here, I'll hold this for you, make life easier. Anytime, and not to get too deep onto this subject, but anytime someone makes one of those types of religious transformations, it's typically they're at a moment in their life where something is drastically off, where they feel a sense of guilt for something that's, happened. Now the question, as far as fight fans are concerned, is does that make a difference in how Pacquiao is going to perform as a fighter? And by all intents, Freddie Roach had that same concern, and he brought in all new sparring partners for Pacquiao because of that exact thinking that there is a nice side to Pacquiao even before the religious transformation. He's a nice guy who has a mean streak when he fights, but he takes it easy on sparring partners. But I think Pacquiao is still business.
And he took it easy on Mosley, because he could have knocked out Mosley whenever he wanted to.
And that's another thing. I believe that Pacquiao will fight to his opponent's level, and the Shane Mosley fight is a very good example of that. Now, whether or not you want to say that part of it was his conditioning or, a lot of the cramping of the legs is another story. But Timothy Bradley is not going to play nice with Manny Pacquiao, and I think maybe I'm changing my stance in a second even saying that out loud, because a mean Manny Pacquiao comes out when he gets a fighter who doesn't respect him. And I don't believe that Timothy Bradley is going to respect his power or his skills as a technician, and Pacquiao is a fiery fighter still, Jesus or no Jesus, when he is put to the fire. And maybe for that reason we'll see a good Pacquiao.
What's your final prediction on the fight?
I think I just changed it. I'm going to say Pacquiao by still a close decision, but it's tough to bet against Pacquiao in Vegas. Bradley doesn't have knockout power. I think Bradley's going to give him a hell of a fight, and I still stick with if he's not 100% Manny Pacquiao, that Timothy Bradley's going to be the guy to expose it. But if he's ready, Pacquiao should win this fight.
Yeah, and it'll be a very tough fight. Final prediction here, I think Pacquiao by decision. Santos, final prediction before we ask you about another fight on the card.
Yeah, I believe it could be a late Pacquiao stoppage or decision as well.
And I'm going to get back to Santos now because another fight on the card, David. Randall Bailey against Mike Jones. Mike Jones. Mike Jones. I'm excited for that fight. Randall Bailey's a Miami fighter. I've seen him fight since fight one, as has Santos. One of the hardest pure hitters in boxing. I don't know too many power punchers that hit harder than Randall Bailey. He's going to fight Mike Jones for the IBF welterweight title. Santos, what do you think Randall's chances are at this point of his career? Because you would think that where Randall is now, you should see him decline, but in his last few fights, he's looked as good as ever.
He has looked very good, Armando, and that knockout over Figueroa will definitely revive them because, he had gotten knocked out by Rango at 140, and we thought that was the end of Randall. But he reinvents himself. But one thing he doesn't have to reinvent is his punch. He's had it from fight one, and that's why I give him a puncher's chance in this fight. Obviously, the youth and probably a little bit more of the speed might be in Jones's favor. But Randall, I mean, if he can withstand some of those early storms, he could stay there. And Jones, he's been in a few of the big events fighting preliminaries for Pacquiao, but don't be shocked if Randall could score the upset here.
And I think Randall will score the upset. I think he's a hard hitter against Jackson Bonsu. He knocked the living daylights out of him.
If you haven't seen it on YouTube, that is one of the most brutal knockouts in recent memory.
Ridiculous. And Santos, something that Randall needs to, and I've always told him that, and at the risk of sounding biased, I've always told him that he needs to go after his opponent and knock them out. He has a power punch. Do you think that sometimes he gets a little gun shy at times? We saw it against Cotto. We saw it against Ishii Smith.
Correct. That's the thing. He, and this is an opportunity for him to, make a name for himself, if you can say that. But he's been a world world champion twice at 140. But he's going to be in a very, very high-profile setting, and an impressive win in this fight, the fight against Mike Jones could definitely set him up, in that welterweight mix. We're talking about who's going to Pacquiao fight next. I mean, if Randall somehow scores the upset, I mean, there's some good money coming his way if he wins this fight.
Yeah, David, I'd pay to see a Victor Ortiz Randall Bailey fight.
That's the thing. I think Randall Bailey, and we're all kind of alluding to it, has a Zab Judah quality, which is if he comes out and punches, there are very few people who can beat him. But that's the kind of the factor here. Frankly, if Randall Bailey pulls this off, I'd like to see him fight Kendall Holt. I think those are two of the hardest hitting pound for pound guys. Kendall Holt, of course, doesn't have the knockouts to his credit, but that's because he doesn't put his punches together the way he should, the same way that Randall Bailey doesn't. But when those guys punch, it's rocket ships. And I think Bailey has that puncher's chance, but if he allows himself to get intimidated by Jones's reach and physical qualities, then it could be a long night for him. But if he punches, it could be his night.
Will Guillermo Rigondeaux, who's also going to fight, be boring again?
No, I think Guillermo Rigondeaux has a guy who might be tailor-made for him in Tion Kennedy. The guy can punch, and we've seen that, and especially in his last couple fights. He had a brutal body shot a few fights ago where he won against Rico Ramos, I think. Am I making that up? Rico Ramos?
Rico Ramos. Rico Suave.
Rico Suave.
Gerardo.
Possibly the worst alphabet champion in history, and there's a lot of belts out there. I think Rigondeaux knows what it takes at this point. If he wants guys like Nonito Donaire, he needs to punch. I think he's going to go for it and end this fight early.
Yeah, and Jorge Arce also on the card, so that's this Saturday. But somebody that's still looking for an opponent, David, is Canelo Alvarez, as of now, as of this taping, because it might, in half an hour, you might find an opponent. We look like idiots. But Jess, you're a little bit of an expert in the Canelo field. You've interviewed Jose Sulaiman many times, president of the WBC. You've called many of Canelo's fights on Telemundo, covered some of his fights in Vegas. Canelo Alvarez, what is his management doing? I don't think they're doing him any favors if they fight a guy like Austin Trout, who's not going to draw a crowd.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it's time for him to, fight a really high-level boxer because, even the circumstances under which he became the world champion for the World Boxing Council were very iffy. And so far, he really hasn't fought any good boxers inside of that division. He's being managed, obviously, not only by Golden Boy Promotions, but also by the World Boxing Council, which wants to keep him because, he's a golden boy. He makes a lot of money, especially in Mexico, Mexican TV. So they're bringing him along, stringing him along, trying to get the most out of him before they put him up against somebody that might cause some damage. Now, that said, I think he's ready. I think he can fight, a little bit better boxers than what he's doing now.
And Erislandy Lara, who's ranked number 1 by the WBC, yet the WBC and Golden Boy Promotions isn't even considering him. No.
They're hand-picking every single opponent. Every single opponent. They know exactly how the fight is going to end. I think that it's a terrible thing for boxing, but that's the reality we live in today.
And before we go, we were talking about it earlier. I'd rather see Canelo fight Ricardo Mayorga.
Absolutely, that's a great fight, and plus, it's something that the fans could actually get involved in. So.
Absolutely. What do you think about a Canelo and Mayorga fight?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, people are going to probably look at us sideways as we say that. Ricardo Mayorga gave Shane Mosley hell 2 fights ago. He gave Miguel Cotto hell in his last fight. For all the Ricardo Mayorga,
and he could sell a fight.
He can sell a fight. That's the key. Austin Trout can't sell a fight. The other people being mentioned, Erislandy Lara, I think he deserves a shot more than anybody, but he still can't sell a fight. Who are the other guys being mentioned? Carlos Molina still can't sell a fight.
Right.
Ricardo Mayorga is exactly what is needed at this point. A guy like that who's going to come in and actually try to fight Canelo, which nobody has in recent fights. And this is not Canelo's fault. I think he wants those fights. He's said it himself, but his promoter doesn't believe he's prepared for them, and as a result, we're going to get, probably something we didn't want. Now consider also, though, that Paul Williams was a huge step up for him, and before tragically, things fell the wrong way. So is it possible that we still get a fight that fight fans might actually want? It is possible. I think the Golden Boy is ready to maybe give him a step up, but none of the names being mentioned are going to do what Ricardo Mayorga might promotionally and in the ring.
I predict he fights Julian Jackson, but that's just me. So We give thanks to Jesse Lozada for being here from Telemundo, also Santos Perez from the Miami Herald, providing great insight as always, and David for being back in Miami for good.
Say thanks to Jesse and Santos, because it lends a lot of credibility to us. Previously, we were just too, well, you actually have some legitimacy. I think I'm the only one at this table who has no real credibility besides being on Boxing During Dinner for the past year or so. So it's an honor for me to be next to you.
That's credibility enough now.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, thanks to Mark Randazzo for the Sicilian vaca frita.
Yeah.
Great as always.
And the bonus scenes are going to feature us eating. I saw some pasta back there. I don't know where, but I can't wait to put that right down the gullet.
So for David, Santos, Jesse, Armando Alvarez saying until next time, next week, Brad Jacobs from Top Rank Boxing will be with us talking about the Pacquiao-Bradley outcome. So you can't miss that, and we'll be right back here at Randazzo's.
Yep, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff right here.
All that stuff. Write us. All right, Mark, what do we got here?
Veal Parmesan. It's the rigatoni with vodka sauce. I'm gonna need one more chicken Parmesan and one more.
He must know. He must know you're hungry, huh?
Jess, what do you think of the food so far?
Oh my God, it's incredible, incredible. The first course was unbelievable, and this looks to be just as good.
Hey, Mark, Jesse's giving you high marks on your cooking.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hold on. I want to continue to point out that, like, people who Photoshop their food and put it on like Pinterest and Facebook, it still doesn't look this good, and it's literally just being brought out here in front.
Yeah, this is some good stuff. And you know what? And to all my friends on Facebook, the last couple of weeks, I've been putting that we're gonna record the show here to come out, buy yourself some dinner, don't cook at home. You really gotta come.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating about the food. Look, Jesse had not had the Sicilian vaca frita, and how was it?
God, it was incredible, incredible, just amazing, very, very good.
And I've been bragging about it for weeks. There you go. Mark says, ask for him, Boxing During Dinner, and he'll cook something special for you.
And that's no bull, because he treats it. All right, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. So we show up to this restaurant, and Mark has plenty of people who could cook their meals for us. No, Mark cooks his meals himself for us here every single week, and they're always amazing. And if you're sitting at home in Kendall or wherever the hell that you are, and you're not here, you're wasting your night.
And to the boxing fans, he says George Benton taught him how to cook. So hey, there you go.
Yeah. What's not to like about that?
So shall we eat?
Yeah, let's eat.